It's not over yet, everyone. It's Deep Dive Zone, the Sonic review series for fans of all shapes and sizes. I'm your host, Devin, joined as always by my co-hosts Lauren and Bruce. And a little while ago, we finished talking about the adventure era of Archie Sonic the Hedgehog.
Yeah,
It was weird.
something.
There were some good moments,
Oh, there were
and there were
definitely
some
plenty of good moments, but
really, really awful moments.
yeah,
As to be expected.
yeah. I'm not. it doesn't surprise me.
But as we've done that, we're not going to be going back to Archie for quite a while. Actually, it's going to be a little bit. So we are
Yeah,
capping things off because we're going to be transitioning into a new era in the late 2000s with Ian Flynn at the helm. It's going to massively transform the comic in a very gradual and diegetic sense. So we figured that today we would look at some of the things that the previous creative team planned on doing but never got to.
right,
In this
right.
case, we have a list of things that Bollers had intended to do at some point. It was probably not the very next issues that he wrote. Um,
Sure.
but we also have Ken Penders' plans for literally number 160 through 166 or 7, whatever it was. Um,
Went through 170.
yeah. So we're gonna look at all these and judge whether they were good ideas or whether there was
Right.
something there, etc.
Yeah.
And obviously, we are not reviewing these as stories. So
Of
concept
course.
versus execution is in full effect here. Although there are some things that are definitely just bad concepts in here.
Yeah, there definitely is.
Um,
Yeah, reading through some of this, I'm like, I'm pretty sure this would have been changed in
Oh yeah.
execution.
Oh yeah. There's definitely some things in there. I'm like, this would not have actually happened.
exactly how much of this would have been shot down by the editor is hard to know.
Yeah.
But well, let's go ahead and start off with let's start with Karl Bollers because
Okay.
I don't know, he was the more normal of the two about everything, which doesn't mean he's a great
Uh,
writer, but
Yeah. Yeah.
case in point, let's look at the first bullet point on his wiki article here for canceled plans. Sonic and Amy becoming a couple after being stranded at sea together and keeping it a secret from Princess Sally.
Wow, that would have just set the fan base on fucking fire.
you can't do
Yeah.
that. It's illegal and it's not allowed.
This this is like Justin Gabri's wet dream. It's like, oh, we can have even more shipping wars. Yeah, so
God.
throughout the whole thing, we've never liked how the Archie comics handle
Yeah.
basically any romance. We like Antoine and Bunny, but that's not because they're like impeccably written. Their romance is barely shown, and that's why we tolerate it.
Yeah,
True.
honestly.
Yeah.
I hadn't thought about it that way, but that is totally true.
Um, and I think for me, part of this is, on the face of it, I'm not really a Son Amy guy, but in Archie specifically, these two have no connection. It feels like they barely interact.
They have barely interacted. The only thing we've really gotten out of Amy is like she's just kind of a Sonic fangirl.
Yeah, that's basically her character in the comics.
Yeah,
Much
she's less.
less of an influence.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's also just like I'm glad we didn't have to talk about it because like the age gap makes it weird.
yeah,
Um,
that's also a good point.
I think somewhere in the Flynn era they say, oh, her mind became adultified with time, which is
Which is
some.
also kind of weird.
It's more than nothing, but I still don't like it.
Yeah,
Well, given the fact that it was screwy from the beginning, that's probably the best way they could have
that really
tried to
is.
fix it.
Just be like, yeah, her mind has developed enough that she can be considered like 17 or however old.
Yeah, I mean they were between a rock and a hard place with Sega asking them to, make the characters like Sonic Adventure and the designs
Right,
like this, and Sega,
right.
for better or worse, fucking loves shipping in Sonic and Amy. Um
That's true.
But
Really?
It seems like they
I mean,
do,
I mean,
off and on.
it's the closest thing to a consistent romantic pairing that anyone gets in the games. Although
That's true.
understand that in the games, Sonic is just as uncomfortable about it as we are. But
Well, see,
Yeah.
I don't even think of it as a ship. Well, I mean, it's a ship in the fandom, but not in the games because it's completely one-sided.
yeah,
I guess, yeah.
maybe I'm thinking about how I've been watching Sonic X recently, and that's the show that Sega and Sonic Team had the most influence on, to the point that Mike Hawa, the writer of Adventure 2, most of '06, and Black Knight, etc., does indeed write Sonic and Amy kind of for that. Sonic X is the
Hmm.
Sonami show in a lot of ways. Um,
Well, I guess that's interesting then. I'll
Hmm.
have to see how that works.
it's not that bad, but I still don't. It's still not my thing. So
Sure, sure.
the point being, this is something that I'm not surprised someone would try at some point, but I'm glad it didn't end up happening.
Oh yeah, I'm definitely not surprised that one of the writers for the comics would have been like, let's let's since we broke Sonic and Sally up, let's go with a different girl now, and Amy is the most quote unquote game accurate.
Yeah. Well, let's look at the next one. This one is actually I like quite a lot, so it shows exactly the disparity. Tails reuniting with
Yes,
his parents by traveling into space on a modified tornado.
yes, I'm glad that Ballers was planning to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's nice. Although I wonder how long it would have taken, but it's
Yeah,
good that he had plans.
Oh, do you think it's like a Rotor is away thing where they just don't show him for a bunch of issues?
and then
Very well
suddenly
may
we get
could
side
have been.
stories of him doing it. Yeah,
Yeah, because it sounds like Sonic wouldn't be going with him on this, and they're not gonna do a
right.
full-scale space arc with Tails as the main character.
No, it's not like we're gonna get another Tails miniseries.
Or any other miniseries for the
True.
entire rest of Archie. But
There you go.
I guess Mega Drive kind of counts, but it's not in the Archie canon, so no. But I think if we wanna say that it wouldn't be that, you would want it to be back of the issue stories, right? Like don't do
Sure,
any
yeah.
Knuckles bullshit.
Yeah, I would put
Yes.
up with this.
Yeah.
Yeah, that could work.
Um, but with only that one sentence, it's hard to know exactly how it would have gone. Would he have
Yeah,
had to?
exactly.
Would Tails have had to fight the Bem to get them away? Would he have to fight the Zorda? That would be kind of cool, actually.
That'd be interesting.
Um, get us some Turbo Tails in there, perhaps.
No, more Titan Tales.
Oh
God.
no.
Well, Ballers had no knowledge of Titan Tails because that was
Oh, that's
all after he left.
true. That's
So,
true. Damn it.
either way, would have been neat to see.
Yeah, it
Um,
would be
Oh
interesting.
yeah.
let's look at this one. Amy's origins being explored in a fuller adaptation of Sonic CD.
I
Um,
like the I like the idea of it, but I feel like Ballers has let us down a lot on things, so
it's
I
hard to
can't just
know.
outright say it would be good
It's
or
hard to know how he would have
entertaining.
written it. Yeah, because
Right.
Amy, as we just said, has very little in Archie. So it's like
Exactly.
more stories with her in a starring role would be good. I
Sure.
I don't know if Sonic CD is the avenue for that. I guess I'd have to see what they did, but
So using CD as like a or because using CD as a jumping off point maybe would be the way to go. As like since that was her game introduction, you can use that as like a this is what led Amy to the plot of Sonic CD.
See, this bullet point, I just look at the Amy half of it, I'm like, okay, whatever. Then I see the Sonic CD half of it, I'm like, whoa! That's what gets me excited. Sonic
Yeah,
CD is a game with time travel, but it's
it
a
does.
classic game, so the story is pretty light.
Right.
But I would love to see a comic adaptation, and of course Archie continuity. So you could,
The time travel will be wild.
yeah, you could go wild with it, and
Actually, yeah, that's a really good
expand
point.
it to, throw in Archie only elements,
Sure.
along with the time travel and stuff, and you could have different characters involved, and it could be fascinating.
That
Yeah,
would be interesting.
I mean, a thing with like if we say like Amy's on Little Planet, and like Metal Sonic is pursuing her because she finds the time stones or something, and with
Yeah.
those, we can both explore Amy's past, whatever the hell it was like growing up in Mercia or whatever, and maybe you also use that to get a look at Earth's history, because that was something that was one of the few things that Penders did with Amy back in the day, was that he had her studying history books at the library with Tales. And
That's true, yeah.
True, yeah.
whatever the fuck that one dog guy who was related to Jack Kirby was named.
Oh, yeah.
Um,
The guy,
I
yeah,
don't remember that guy. He just disappeared after those stories. Nobody cared about him.
He wasn't important enough to come back.
Yeah. So, yeah, gold ore. Who knows if they would have used it, but
for
Mm.
these next points, they're in sort of a weird order here, and like some of these bullet points link up with
They
each
do,
other. So we
yeah.
should probably cover the ones that link up at the same time.
yeah,
Probably,
let's scroll down and talk about the thing with this master geode. I guess we'll start with the mammoth mogul bit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mammoth Mogul beginning to age rapidly due to his original Chaos Emerald running out of energy, forcing him to seek out alternative sources through illicit archaeological expeditions and hiring mercenaries like Knack the Weasel. The Master Geode, a powerful gemstone that would fulfill Mogul's needs, would be contested by him, the Iron Queen, Robotnik, and Rouge the Bat. So this
They,
Yeah.
sounds actually kind of cool.
sounds interesting.
Um. Yeah. That part of it, I'm like, whoa, that's fascinating. But it's a
Yeah.
little disappointing to hear where this comes from, because, well, I mean, can't I talk about the Knuckles bit of this too? I mean, I assume this
I
would
guess we can
intertwine.
combine them into one.
Yeah, yeah, the Knuckles bit ties into this. So.
Yeah, the
Because,
other bit of this is
go ahead.
Knuckles departing Angel Island after learning that his presence exposes the location of the Master Emerald, going on a global pilgrimage to learn martial arts, and battling a Dr. Eggman-controlled Monkey Con while under the control of the Iron Queen before discovering the Master Geode himself.
So I like the idea of Knuckles just completely leaving Angel Island as he has done in the series, but then going out on his own, or to like, sort of rediscover himself, I guess. Um, that's great, but it's a little disappointing that would all just lead to a Master Emerald 2 and stupid Mogul back again harassing him. Um, I like the Mogul plot line, and I certainly like bringing back like the Iron Queen. That would throw me through the loop, I'll tell
Yeah,
you.
that's a kind of wild one.
But that being I assume that would be like the conclusion of Knuckles' quest. That's a little
Probably.
disappointing, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I think for me, part of this is that this is actually not extremely dissimilar to some stuff that ends up happening in the Flynn era. There's no Master
Okay.
Geode or any shit like that. I'm not going to spoil exactly what
Sure.
happens. But I would have liked to see this just in, we liked how Bollers used Knuckles for the period of time that he used him, is part of it.
Yeah.
And giving him something to do that is totally disconnected from Angel Island is probably for the best.
Yeah,
In terms of Mogul, it's like we've already had Knuckles versus Mogul twice.
Exactly.
I think Knuckles versus the Iron Queen and Monkey Con is more, but I also think that Iron Queen and Monkey Con do not have a ton. I think we kind of liked how Ballers used Con in that one issue with the fucking traced art everywhere.
Right.
Yeah.
I think it's just a global pilgrimage learning martial arts I think if you really dug into character introspection for Knuckles, you need to make it a character study.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would think
Well,
so.
I would assume that's what it would be.
And you say there's not a whole lot going on with Khan, and I don't think you can salvage Khan or the Iron Queen. But I mean, there's no reason you couldn't use this as an opportunity to expand those characters.
Sure, yeah, I would assume that's what this would be. It was because we saw the Iron Queen, what, like one story?
Yeah, I think she's
Right.
around for
Yeah.
exactly one issue.
Yeah,
So like
so
you could
this,
do anything with that character. Like there's nothing to
exactly,
contradict, really.
exactly. We have very little information about the Iron Queen. In fact, I barely even remembered she existed.
Yeah.
So I think there's plenty you can work with there.
Also, we should bring back up that Rouge is also after the Master Geode, which
Right,
would finally give us an opportunity to have Knuckles and Rouge dynamic, which we
right.
don't have in the comics currently, really.
Yeah, we really haven't gotten anything like that.
Not really. They've talked like they haven't even talked. It's like Rouge helped him once in the
Yeah,
battle.
they've been in like the same room or the same area.
Yeah. So definitely something I would have liked to seen how it played out.
Yeah, it would have been interesting to see how it played out.
Yeah. And yeah, we definitely should have reordered these before we talked about them because the next thing is related to a plot point that we have talked about before, but I'm actually going to jump down to talk about the first thing that mentions it sort of being what it is. That is to say, the corrupted source of all. So one of these plot points
Right.
is the source of all surviving, the source of all being that pool of molten gold and silver for our viewers, because I'm sure you guys don't remember, because why would you? The source of all surviving the nuking of Robotropolis and reconstituting itself in a remote mountain range, beginning to exert control over King Match? Beginning to exert control over King Max, brainwashing the Arachne, that being the Spider Ninjas, and
Right.
another group of spiders known as the Strand, I don't know why we need to, and possessing Antoine while under the control of Ixis Naugus.
Wow, there's a lot going on there.
Yeah, that's not even the whole thing with the corrupted source of all. This was going to be a
Yeah.
huge arc.
Yeah.
Wait, is it? It seems like the source of all bullet points here seem a bit all over the place because it actually kind of seems like Antoine would intentionally try to
Yeah,
use the source
based
of
off of,
all.
yeah, one of these and I think it's this one yeah, saying Antoine gaining his scar due to an accident with a knife and becoming a villain after allowing himself to be possessed by the source of all in hopes of winning Bunny back.
So this is the whole thing is that it's all in a big pile here. So I don't know where
Right.
exactly it starts and ends because we also
Yeah,
have
that's the
Sally
problem.
being a pawn in a villainous plot by the corrupted source of all and Ixis Naugus to prevent the future, first previewed in Sonic in Your Face, which is kind of the
Jesus.
25 years later future. Um,
Right.
in any case, the corrupted source of all sounds cool as shit.
Oh
It
yeah,
does.
that bit
This is
of
a
it is
super interesting
awesome.
idea. This is a
I
super interesting idea.
yeah, when there is something that the story keeps trying to frame as a good thing, but is so obviously a bad thing, the best thing you can do is just be like, okay, yeah, it's actually a bad thing. All the misery that has been caused on poor Sally. Yeah, just make the source of all actually evil. Lean into that.
Yeah, honestly, yeah.
Yeah, and given that part of this is Antoine letting himself be controlled in hopes of getting back with Bunny. I don't know if I like that because
That's an interesting. Eh.
but the idea of if you make this a Sally and Bunny story, have them be the ones who have to take down the source of all. Maybe Sonic's busy with Eggman
Sure.
or something.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, taking the multiple levels of control that Sally has been forced into over the years and flipping it on its head because now please just fight against your dad because he sucks. Um,
Yeah. I don't like the Antoine half of this as it is written because it
The one
implies
half doesn't
that
really make a whole lot of sense.
yeah, it implies that Antoine, like Bunny, left Antoine, but I thought Bunny
Bunny
Yeah,
wanted
wanted
it
to
to
seems like
stay
stay
with
he
with
broke up with
Antoine.
Antoine.
her.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Um, Now I do think this basic idea has potential. For instance, if Antoine was injured and like the source of all got them when they were weak, and that was what led to the change in
That
personality.
would make more sense.
It makes me think. It makes me view the source of all as like a parasite. Like it says, Antoine gets his scar due to an accident with a knife. That maybe that sounds a little bit boring, but it becomes less boring if you assume that the way the source of all possesses him is by entering through his wound.
Yes.
That makes a lot more sense than those two being like unrelated.
It's
Because
like
yeah,
a
that's really lame if he just like cut himself.
it's
That's
like the
really
Or
it's
boring.
like the
or it could be
baby arc of
like
GT.
or you could even make it like the dagger of acorns or something that stabbed him.
Oh yeah, something that's
Oh
already
yeah,
infused with the source. Yeah,
yeah, it's true.
it's an interesting thing, and yeah. So I think the thing for me is that if you make Antoine a villain, how are you getting him back? You know.
Yeah, you have to figure out some way to redeem him.
Well, that's the thing is I don't know if they were. You know, maybe they just were gonna like
Ugh.
have him be either a villain forever or like kill him off or something.
If that's the case, I don't like that.
There have been multiple writers over the
No.
years who said they wanted to kill off Antoine. I don't know why.
That's weird.
Yeah, I don't get that.
Yeah. Ditto for this last bit because we were saying, oh, Bunny and Antoine breaking up. I understand them breaking up due to, as it says, a change in Antoine's personality. Um, and it also says Bunny's origins being later explored, which is very vague, and her true name being revealed as Scarlett O'Hare.
What does this have to do with anything?
What's wrong with Bunny Rabbit?
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that. We don't need to change her name.
They even already clarify in at one point that Rabot is pronounced Rabo, so that you don't have to feel like it's
That's
too
true.
punny.
That's true.
Oh, I must have forgotten that.
Yeah. Oh, the wiki also has like in parentheses stuff about like late game Archie stuff. We're not going to cover that.
I would assume we wouldn't.
Yeah. Egg Army is even like reboot Archie, so yeah, so we definitely want to see the corrupted source of all. I think we could
Sure.
lose almost everything about it relating to Antoine.
I think for the
Yeah.
most part, yeah.
We can touch upon Naugus again.
Yes.
In that he once again is trying to I don't know I can't even remember where Naugus is. Is he still trapped or something in the void or whatever? I can't
That's
remember.
actually a really good
Have we
question.
seen him since Super Special 15? Because Sonic just shoved him back in the Zone of Silence in that one, and I don't think we've seen him since.
I think he's
don't-
still stuck there.
I think
So-
he is, yeah.
I think the idea is that he would be trying to once again reach through dimensions, and I guess he's trying to like use Max's body again, like he tried that one time. So I'm thinking that either the source of all is corrupted independently, and then Naugus makes use of it, or the source of all is, depleted and weakened, and so Naugus can then
Naugus
corrupt
can
it.
corrupt it, yeah.
Either way, I think that's an interesting idea.
Yeah.
I think I would rather see the corrupted source of all presented as the source of all getting desperate and dropping the facade, so to speak,
Maybe?
rather than it being evil just because of Naugus's influence. I like the idea better that he's just an opportunist, but the source of all just naturally sucks. We just didn't know how much until things got worse.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah, tying Naugus into it is a good idea. Tying Naugus and having him take command over the spiders is a good idea because we don't really know what their deal was.
It would be an
Right.
opportunity to explain that a little bit, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And good news. The corrupted source of all didn't happen, but most of the rest of this is something that Flynn took advantage of. So we'll be seeing that in a little while.
Okay.
Okay then.
Um, but yeah, big interesting idea that frankly still would have been better than just like more of what we already had. I think if it closed us off from getting Antoine back, then maybe it's worth it to not have it. But
I still don't think there's any reason why we couldn't have well, there's nothing out here outright saying here that Ballers wouldn't have brought Antoine back, and I don't think there's any reason why he couldn't have.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's just it's an if or
Right.
situation.
Yeah.
If we still get to get Antoine back, then do all of this.
Yeah, honestly, I wouldn't mind seeing Vil and Antoine for a little while, and then have something some way work to bring him back.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I just realized Penders did give us Villain Antoine. Maybe
did,
by
yeah.
maybe by complete coincidence, but that's funny
Yeah.
that the both plot lines would have given us Villain
I didn't
Antoine.
think about that. That's interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's move on to this next one. A weird one here. Wait, hold on. Let me just make sure I haven't missed anything. Oh yeah, there's one that I missed. Rotor retiring from field duty in order to pursue a role analogous to that of Q in James Bond.
Didn't he already do this?
He basically did that anyway.
Yeah. So why are we acting like this is an unused plan?
I guess
Yeah.
the idea is that Q makes gadgets and Rotor
Yeah, Q is is Bond's quartermaster.
and Sonic doesn't really use gadgets made by Rotor, so I guess that's the only difference.
No. I mean, yeah, I guess.
I admit I'm not familiar at all with James Bond. I've seen Skyfall and that's it.
I'm
Yeah.
somewhat familiar. Actually, I'm fairly familiar. I enjoy Bond movies, but like I don't get it.
Yeah. Let's move on to this next one. Weird one. Don't know if I like this one. Locke and Lara Leigh putting
Ugh.
aside their previous disputes to help raise Nicapion Kneecap's mace after his father Windmacher ends up in the egg grape chamber. So I don't think we actually had the egg grapes named in the comic yet.
No, but I know, but I think we all know what that's referencing.
Yeah, because we've seen the pods, we just haven't had them
Yeah,
called
yeah.
that.
Exactly.
And no, I disagree. Don't do that.
I would like
No.
to point out that this is the exact plot line that I predicted at one point, thinking
did.
that Windmacher would
yeah.
die and then Locke and Lorelei would get back
Oh,
together.
yeah.
So the fact that Ballers was thinking the same way, I'm glad he didn't get here.
Now, in fairness,
yeah.
it doesn't say they'd get back together. It says that they
No,
would
I think
put
it's
aside their
more-
differences.
To help to both raise kneecaps. I think, to me, it sounds more like they would work together. You know, Locke would act less as like a father and more like an uncle.
Well, if you had this as an opportunity for Lara Leigh to just, bring all his shit to the front and be like, hey, here's an opportunity to act like a real dad and don't be a fucking piece of shit. That would almost be something, but at the same time, I don't really want Locke near these people, and don't kill off
I don't
Windmacher.
either. I mean, so
Yeah, that's
that's
just like
yeah, it does kind of just seem like the idea is just to kill Windmacher, and that doesn't seem like a good idea.
It's not even that Windmacher is, like, my favorite character or all that important or whatever. It's just that, like, you're removing the things that would stand in Locke's way of Lara Leigh, and that feels
Right.
a little, like, eh.
yeah, like if you want to sort of make Locke somewhat redeemed, just engineer a situation where he has to like look after Mace or something.
Sure, yeah.
Um,
Give us like a side story where he has to look after Mace.
yeah,
Yeah. Give us, some reason that Windwalker and Lara Ley need to be away. Maybe, in the
Right.
rebuilding of Echidnopolis or whatever, they're administrators of something, and they don't have
Sure.
time for their son, and Locke comes up, and maybe he fucking apologizes and says, let me take this opportunity to try and be a father.
Sure. Yeah.
And
Um,
then he could be sort of like an uncle figure, perhaps.
yeah,
Hmm.
yeah. But that's not what it says on the page, so, don't do this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, However, do this next one. This one is hilarious. Um, Robotnik kidnapping Hope Kintober under the pretense that he is the only correct choice to be her legal guardian, while genuinely using her as bait to lure in Shadow.
This is a textbook Eggman move.
It's a very textbook Eggman move.
I love the idea
Yeah.
of a fantasy sci-fi custody battle for this girl.
The poor girl's gone through so much, and we're just gonna throw her through a fucking custody fight.
Yeah, and no, I love the sound of this because Hope gets
It
very
sounds
little,
fun.
and
Right.
what Penders did with her and Shadow was not much. It was basically just him spying on her and then being like, "Oh, she's not Maria, but I will save her anyway." Um,
She looks like Maria, therefore I don't care.
yeah, but I don't know. I like this idea because it feels like a setup for a fun just sequence of like Shadow breaking into Eggman's base, completely
Right.
livid while Eggman is still being goofy.
Yeah.
Yeah, because he can act like he's totally in the right. All high and
Yeah.
mighty, like Eggman
Yeah,
can
he's
be
like,
from time to
yeah,
time.
it's like, hey, I'm her only living relative, technically.
And then
Yeah.
you could have like like the king or some idiot who being like, oh, he's right. We shouldn't do anything about it. And then Shadow is like, yeah, to heck with that.
Yeah, Shadow has to take the law into his own hands.
He's
This'll be finally the part of the comics that lets him point a gun at somebody.
oh hell yeah.
Yes.
Actually, throwing Fang in there as like maybe that's what it is that the king says, well, the kingdom won't help you, but maybe we can hire this dangerous bounty hunter to do the
We'll
work
hire
for
this.
us.
Yeah, we'll hire this bounty hunter who we've arrested multiple times.
Yeah, this is they're working him. It's prison labor.
Oh my god. Yeah, he's already. Yeah, just have
Community
him already
service.
in prison, and and the Kingdom of Acorn's like, all right, go help Shadow with this, just so we have
They
plausible deniability.
they put like an ankle bracelet that's also a bomb on him.
Oh
Jesus.
no.
And like,
God
if
damn.
he tries to act out of line, Shadow can like threaten to shoot the ankle bracelet.
Jeez.
Anyway, yeah, I'd love to have seen this. It would have been hilarious.
That would have been fun, yeah.
Yeah. And this is maybe tied into the Source of All thing. I'm not sure, but Ixis Nagus attempting to return by transforming Max's body into a duplicate of his own, only to be thwarted by the destruction of the Crown of Acorns.
So yeah, when we were talking earlier, I was basically working this into my thoughts here. Is
Hmm.
that well, yeah, because there's a bit about the Swordswell corrupting the king, and so I would assume that Nagus would use the Source of All to corrupt the king until his body can be like transfigured, and then he
Right.
can escape in that way.
Yeah,
Yeah?
and that's interesting because I don't know how you go back from that. Like, would
This
Well, it
might
says
be a way
attempting.
to.
It doesn't say he succeeds.
Well, if he succeeds, this could be a potential way for them to get rid of the king.
I
yeah,
would.
I don't know if the
Hmm.
writers actually would want to do that.
I don't think they
But
would. Not even Flynn
probably
managed
not.
to kill the guy off.
Like, I don't like the
Uh,
king, and they probably should get rid of him. However, he is, like, the source of a lot of conflict in the comics.
so,
So
yeah.
it would sort of shake things up a lot.
That's why I like the Source of All things so much, is because it would turn the king into an antagonist, which is a good way to avoid killing things off in some cases.
Sure.
especially when it's a character who needs to stick around but who we don't like. Um, so yeah, if that's part of the source of all thing, then yeah, do that part too.
Sure.
Um, oh yeah, this one. Nate Morgan surviving the destruction of Robotropolis, being de-roboticized by the BEM, and returning as Coconut's amnesia-addled ally, who creates a
Fucking
new
coconuts.
Metal Sonic, Metal Amy, Metal Knuckles, and Tails doll that are mistaken for Robian versions of the heroes.
Fucking
So
coconuts.
if
What?
if like the heroes encounter Nate's goons, and then Cognus is like, ha ha ha, I'll I don't know. He's got to have something that they need. But either way, he's like, if you, I'll do the thing that you need from me. Maybe he'll hold like Nate hostage. That could actually make sense. Maybe, he'll hold Nate hostage. You know, like in return for Nate's freedom, you have to race these, and it's a Sonic R adaptation
Oh, there you go.
because you have all the metal versions for Sonic R.
That's true, yeah.
It sounds like a goofy Benny Lee Ballers story where it's just kind of unserious and silly.
Right.
You know, specifically the fact that it's fucking coconuts. He's in like one issue.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the fact we're bringing coconuts in on this is weird.
It's like it's amazing that it's even him and not like Scratch and Grounder because they had more than coconuts in this comic and it's still not much.
I mean, I'd
Um,
rather be coconuts over Scratch and Grounder.
I mean, I guess I don't really have. They're kind of all the same in the comics, but
Yeah.
yeah.
So, yeah, I don't know about the all that, but I've said before, yes, Nate Morgan, my boy, please bring him back. He it was so tragic. I'm so mad that the heroes were stupid and did not even attempt to rescue him when they had so many opportunities.
Yeah, and
So
then he
yeah,
got
to have
blown
him
by
survive,
Yeah.
that would make me finally, have closure on that.
Right.
But instead, was not to be, I guess.
Yeah, it makes me wonder exactly how they plan to get them out of there since roboticized humans can't move.
I
and
mean,
maybe
yeah.
we would say that the BEM took the humans first since they're like, oh, these were the dominant life forms on this planet or something.
Sure.
Um, you know, as we've discussed, the whims of the BEM are very difficult to decipher.
Kinda, yeah.
They're just walking plot devices.
Yeah.
Basically.
But I would absolutely love to see more medals. You know, Metal Sonic,
Sure.
obviously, but we've never seen a Metal Amy in. I want to say that late game pre-reboot Archie has a Metal Amy, and then Superstars you can make a Metal Amy as some of the robot
Right.
parts. It is funny that we consistently get metal versions of everybody except Tails, who just gets the Tails doll.
Yeah, that's I don't know
Like
how
I
I feel
said, it
about
must be
that.
a stealth Sonic R
It's got to be
adaptation.
Sonic R, yeah.
I mean, they have Metal Knuckles in there, so I suppose. But yeah, very wacky idea that there's nothing in here that offends me, so go ahead and do it.
Yeah, not really.
Sounds like a fun story.
Yeah.
Speaking of fun stories, I know that Lauren's been waiting for this one. Snively taking up a 15-foot tall mechanical battlesuit and the alias
Holy
Skarkus
shit. Skarkus.
in the pursuit of revenge against Robotnik for leaving him alone against Azorda, leading to an alliance between him and Shadow.
Holy shit.
This reminds me of the Diablon battle, but instead of Sonic and a big robot, it's Shadow and a big robot. This would be fantastic. So many times we get like little schemes from Snively, but it never really goes anywhere except Endgame, of course, and that was
Right.
amazing. But Snively has been like very sort of cowardly. I mean, understandably so. I mean, Eggman is terrifying. but he hasn't really gotten much of a chance against Eggman. He like helped the rest of the gang a little bit at one point,
Yeah.
and he has potential now in his new situation currently in the comics.
Sure.
But I would have loved to see this. And yeah, it would with giant mech. That's got to be at least fun to watch.
Oh, sure, yeah.
Yeah, and it'd certainly be better than what we got in the Nanite City story, because it's like, Snively was gone for a long time. The idea that he was building a weapon to take down Robotnik makes a lot more sense than, hello, I'm hanging out here for some reason.
Yeah, that was very
Yeah,
underwhelming.
that was just sudden.
I have no idea how that's supposed to ally him with Shadow. Maybe this has to do with the Hope Kintober thing, since she's his sister?
Maybe?
Yeah, that could work potentially. Um, I it all depends on what Ballers would have done with Shadow because
Yeah.
we still don't know what Shadow even wants in these comics. So
Yeah,
who
not
knows?
from Penders,
Right.
and not much from Bollers either, although I trust him a little bit better, but not much. Um, I guess Shadow already wanted to kill Eggman under Baller's pen, so maybe that's just enough. I don't know.
I guess.
Um, this next one, who boy, Adam and Nicole becoming romantically involved, leading to Adam seizing control of the Shadowbot army and leading them from New Megaopolis to Knothole.
Why? Also,
It-
what?
If they did this, I would just instantly give them respect by default because
Oh,
I
yeah.
never would have seen this as a possible plot line. I would be too shocked to object even.
Oh yeah, no. If they
It's-
did this, like, I would give them immediate respect.
It's dumbfounding, the idea of our AI romance story. There's probably some
Yeah.
weird visual novels on Steam you can play about that, but it's like
They're probably
I admit,
AI generated.
I admit I've never seen that before, but it's also
Yeah.
like it sets off some immediate alarm bells, but it's like because obviously romance in these comics is ugh, and for me
Yeah.
personally, I'm ride or die for Sally Cole, but
I mean, I'm
think-
pretty sure this wouldn't work out.
yeah, I mean
No,
that's
this
that's
would
the
end up
thing, is that
falling
it says
apart.
Adam seizing control of the Shadow Army and leading them from New Megapolis to Knothole. It doesn't say why he's doing that.
Yeah.
But the idea that he gets like spurned in a bad breakup and does that out of like petty revenge is very funny.
I would love that. Like Sonic like confronts Eggman, and Eggman is like, "How? Wow, you've really got some gall sending your entire army to Knothole." He's like, "This wasn't me, Sonic."
Yeah, Eggman's like, hold the fucking phone. This wasn't me.
My
You
army
think I'd
did what?
really send my entire army over? That's a little overboard.
Yeah.
And maybe you could even get like a temporary alliance between Eggman and Sonic again.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it's a supremely weird and interesting idea. I'm not sure how much it makes sense for the version of Adam we've been presented with. But the thing is that Baller's only used Adam once, so I don't know what his
Right.
vision was.
Yeah, it would have to come after some more development of Adam.
So Adam
Or this could also be our development for Adam, I guess.
I would hope it would be, because Adam has potential that still hasn't been used very much.
Oh yeah.
So Adam is very curious by nature. I think that's pretty obvious.
Mhm.
Nicole is a curiosity by nature, and so
Yeah.
I think that you could easily work out something between these two.
Adam's like, I want more knowledge, and Nicole's like, here's Wikipedia.
I am
and he's
not.
like, I love you now. Yeah, I guess for me, I'm also projecting because I know what Chakon wanted to do with Adam, and I know what Flynn ends up doing with Adam, and they're both kind of incompatible with this. But this is still a fun idea,
Okay.
so I'm not gonna let that cloud my judgment. But also, I don't know. Very weird, but again, fun.
Yes.
Yeah.
On to another very weird idea, if I say so.
Indeed, a new dingo regime leader named Colonel Mange being introduced, with Crocbot, Jack Rabbit, and Gala Na being reintroduced as Robotnik sub-bosses over Down Under, the Great Desert, and Albion. This would have led to the disappearance of the Down Under freedom fighters and a confrontation involving the Mercia freedom fighters.
Galana working for Eggman? Excuse me? What?
I mean, let's be honest. The last things we've seen from her, that wouldn't surprise me all that much.
Albion does suck, and it's
Yes,
but
it would.
the problem is that they suck independent of Eggman. They're just self-interested.
Exactly.
Fair, yeah,
That doesn't make any sense. Like, maybe in some weird big ploy where Galana is actually going to try to pull a fast one in the end, I guess.
Yeah.
But it doesn't say anything about that here.
I guess what I'm thinking is, like, Albion is, like, the most hardcore traditionalist of Echidna, more even than Echidnopolis, right?
Yeah.
So maybe Eggman approaches them saying, hey, you guys hate the Dark Legion, right? You know, help me take them down on Angel Island or something, especially since it has to do with the Dingo regime. I'd have to see how they wrote it, because I feel like they wouldn't just be like, oh yeah, she was bad to Knuckles, therefore, you know. The rest of this is like, I guess I just don't know, just because these characters are pretty vague.
Well, so I was most shocked by Galana, but why would Jack Rabbit ally with Eggman? That doesn't make any sense either. Crocbot, it actually says Croctobot here. So
yeah, that's just because
somehow
the wiki article.
Yeah.
Okay,
it
certainly would have been Crocbot, right?
Yeah, I would have.
I don't think anybody planned to mash him and Octobot together until that issue we read.
I didn't think so. Crocbot is easily explainable because he would
well, he was already
join Eggman only to then betray him again. So perhaps the plan was for all of these characters to join Eggman, planning to betray him later, which would
be wild.
Yeah, I mean, I think individually I could almost see them allying as a group and then being approached maybe by the Dingoes, but not by Eggman, which might make them more conciliatory. Also, all of this is going on. Who's fighting this? Are these antagonists for Sonic and the gang or somebody else?
Well, it's not Mercian freedom fighters.
Yeah, so I guess Robbo and...
Another Robbo.
Do we have anybody else in Mercia? Isn't there like a couple like other Robin Hood parody characters named that we barely saw?
There is, but I think they were all roboticized.
That's fine, they're de-roboticized.
Means they're de-roboticized now.
I don't remember his name, but Antoine's dad is like, hey, I got along really well with Robbo that one time. I want to go visit him. And then it's in the middle of this, and then he suddenly gets pulled into it.
It's possible. Yeah. It's not. It's just weird because it doesn't feel like a super. Because Robbo is, I don't dislike Robbo, but he's not. He's not.
You haven't gotten
put
a
your
lot
name
of
on
them.
the title of the story character.
Not really. Again, I feel like a lot of these stories would require some of these characters to get stories before this, giving them better characterization.
Yeah, or just have, existing main character as the main character of these stories, which might be what they're playing. Again, this is all just notes, so...
I mean, yeah, I guess the easiest way to deal with all that is just to throw Sonic into all of these.
Yeah, which might be what they planned. I think the other thing is just that the goal here is saving Mercia or Down Under, and it's like, I don't really care that much about maybe for Robbo, especially if it's like, oh, Amy, your cousin is going to become the dead, but
your cousin who we barely see, and you don't seem to I feel like you're not actually related to.
They don't have much connection, do they?
No.
Yeah. Either way, I'm not saying no. I'd still be
Sure.
interested. If
Yeah, it
this
sounds interesting enough.
if this, were here instead of the 500th, oh, Mina loves Sonic, but Sally is upset about that, trash all of that.
I mean, yeah, throw all that into the fucking dumpster.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Case in point, a very different direction than they ended up
Yeah.
going with Scourge, but still
Yeah.
one that I think makes sense. Evil Sonic coming to enjoy impersonating Sonic and enjoying the love of his parents and adulation of his people, leading him to plan to eliminate Sonic and permanently take his place.
This is just lame. I'm sorry.
Really?
This is underwhelming.
Uh,
And I think maybe
really?
maybe it's already to me. I don't like Evil Sonic.
I guess.
Get out, leave. You're not welcome here.
He's so underwhelming as a character.
So I guess what
I
it
love
is.
him. He's a scoundrel. He's just
No,
petty, and he's just a
I
common
think that
street thug. But he's Sonic. He's got all the Sonic
I don't
backstory
know,
and
man.
stuff. But
I just
this is what he
cannot.
turned into. It's just funny.
I just can't bring myself to like this because I just don't like Evil Sonic. He's so boring.
I think what it is for me is, we just finished with a story where Evil Sonic impersonated Sonic, and
Right. And
obviously I did not like
that's probably part of
the
it.
direction of that story. But if we said that this was here instead of that, go hog wild, because I think that
I
I'm
could take that.
I'm not a huge fan of Evil Sonic myself. He's kind of a dime a dozen thug, and that's the point, is that
Yeah,
he's not
I
really
know.
intimidating even compared to regular Sonic. But I think if you're gonna expand on his character in a way that's not amping up the meta aspect, which is what they kind of do with Scourge,
Right.
you would instead go with the, what does separate him from regular Sonic, and it's that
Yeah.
he fucking sucks.
Yeah, and I get that much. I guess if they went that way, I would put up with it, but I think going the route of Scourge made a lot more sense to me.
Yeah, I
It
don't,
makes
and
him
I'm not.
and it makes him more interesting to me also.
I'm not objecting to Scourge. And here's the thing: what I kind, like, obviously this can't happen, and I don't even know if this is a good idea, but it was an idea that I thought of when I read this.
Mm.
What if Sonic gets home from space, and
And
instead of
Evil
everybody
Sonic
thinking
there.
Sonic's been dead for a year, they're like, "What do you mean? You've been here the whole time?"
That would be actually interesting. I don't like. I think one of my problems is Evil Sonic's plan to just kill Sonic. That to me, that A doesn't feel like Evil Sonic because he doesn't just go straight to murder. As we pointed out, he's just like petty crimes.
Well, so Devin, that is an absolutely genius idea, and I'm just
Yeah,
gonna
I
ride
would.
off of that
I would
and
much
say that
rather have that idea.
and just say that by being in Sonic's shoes for a while, evil Sonic has actually gained some confidence,
Oh,
um,
so
and so
that's
he can
interesting.
actually, resort to murder, maybe.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, it's
It got rid of his inferiority complex, so now he's perfectly okay with homicide. Gotcha.
I want to rant about Adventure Time so badly, but I'm not gonna, because
All
there's a
right.
plot just like this in that show. But
Uh-huh. Okay.
no, the idea that Evil Sonic would become more like Sonic Prime, and at the same time grow so possessive of that he would then be like, shit. Him trying to kill Sonic would be him getting desperate, is I think what it is.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
And
I fair. That's fair enough. I guess. I still. Yeah. It's
yeah,
still an underwhelming story to me.
it's it's not my favorite out of these concepts, but yeah, you still could have done something interesting with it.
I mean, yeah.
So
I mean, I think that's a good thing to look at a lot of these with. Even the ones we've kind of been poo-poo on. You could definitely do interesting things with them to make them more interesting.
yeah. Um. So
Yeah.
yeah. So that's Ballers. I would say there were more things I wanted to see here than things I didn't want to see.
Oh,
Yeah, I think
100%.
honestly, for the most part, there was just stuff I was interested. It was mostly stuff I was interested in.
Yeah. Obviously we can't predict that they would have become stories that we liked, but
Right.
there
We
were a
can
lot of
just
stories that were uninteresting in concept and execution from Bollers, so at least these are interesting concepts.
yeah,
No.
that's true.
Oh, hey Ken, what are you doing in here? You got any interesting concepts for us? No?
I
No,
don't.
I'm
There's a
sorry.
couple. There's a couple in
I wouldn't
here.
say that.
Okay,
Yeah.
There's a
okay.
few in here.
Let's talk about the canceled Penders plans,
You're
starting with
right.
his plans for Sonic number 160 and 161, called Sonic All My Tomorrows. King Sonic, yes, we're back
Oh
with
boy,
this.
right
I,
back to 25 years later.
I think it is hilarious that the very first thing Penders would have done if Sega and Archie had let him is to immediately jump right the fuck back into 25 years
Oh
later.
my god.
Um, King Sonic discovers he's returned to the scene of one of his greatest battles. It doesn't specify what. I'm going to assume Endgame.
Probably Endgame.
And possibly the cause of his problems in the future. Oh, that makes it sound like it might be the Zorda War.
Maybe
prob-
it's. Oh yeah.
The
I
problem.
kind of assumed it was a future battle that was between the present and 25 years later.
Also,
That's
possible.
probably more realistic. Actually.
Yeah, Penders would want something that he could control himself.
Exactly.
The problem is that no one can see him or hear him, and any attempt to take action results in someone suspecting a supernatural cause. When he returns to the future, he discovers a changed world on top of having failed to change events in the past. As the last resort, Rotor sends Nicole to the past after having created her.
This
What?
sounds very lame.
Yeah, this sounds underwhelming.
It's like the Knuckles plot line where he tries to change time a lot and nothing happens.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and just like that, he fails to change the past, but the future does change?
Because that's how that works.
And it's even still a story that we haven't seen, that we've already seen, because we had that really old issue where they think Sonic is dead, but he's actually just invisible.
Oh yeah.
I mean, like, it's not like you can't use that idea again,
No,
I
I
mean,
mean, I
yeah,
know,
but it wouldn't be interesting here.
but it's like this is a bunch of things that we've kind of seen already, and it's a big nothing because like it sounds like you may as well have just skipped to the altered future because Sonic can't do things, and
Yeah.
whatever he tries to do is not what changes the world because it says that he failed to change the events.
Yeah, these would be two wastes of issues.
How would this last
Guaranteed.
for 2 issues?
Yeah.
Yeah, somehow.
Yeah, that's a good question.
And of course, we end on the Nicole thing. How is that supposed to save the future?
I don't. Something tells me Penders was not thinking through his time travel plots.
The circle of stupidity is complete. Yeah, hard pass on that one. I don't need to see Mobius 25 years later in general. Like, even if we had not gotten the 2 Flynn issues of it, I wouldn't be, like, that upset.
Even not having read those, I'm sure they're better.
Oh yeah, I'm
they
sure.
are.
I'm
It's just
definitely
I'm not that
better.
upset.
Right.
But, yeah. For Sonic number 162, we have Last Tango in Knothole. Uncle Chuck and Rosie emerge on the town for a real date, and it's up to Sonic to play guardian angel and prevent Robotnik's stealth bots from spoiling the happy couple's evening?
Okay, I like the concept. Why would Robotnik be trying to spoil the evening?
I mean,
Because
he's a dick.
Eggman is petty. Yeah,
He's a
exactly.
dick. Okay, fair enough. I actually do like this concept though. I like
It sounds like...
It sounds like it could be cute, though with Pender's writing it'll probably be weird.
I mean, if he just writes Rosie and Chuck as like a couple of nice old people,
I mean, which would be what they are anyway.
Well, that was one of the things I was thinking that wouldn't Rosie be like quite a bit older than Chuck? Because I thought Chuck was like not that much older than Jules.
Well, he's definitely aged because he's gray.
Yeah, but I mean, like my dad went gray before he was 30, so I don't know.
Fair enough.
Chuck had to do a lot of terrible things. So
he was aged by war.
That's right.
You know what? That's
right.
actually
It's
that.
possible.
I mean, that is aged by stress as a thing. So
yeah, I do not. Chuck and Rosie, really? That's so
Chuck
random.
and Rosie is a random pairing. But
if it
I
was
don't
more
think
like,
there's a problem.
let's just chill out and have a nice evening.
Yeah, maybe it doesn't even
like,
have to specifically be an actual date.
Yeah,
Just be like two old friends going out.
Yeah, you could make up some past between them that we haven't seen.
Sure. I'd be fine either way. I just knowing Penders and the way we've seen him write relationship shit, it's gonna be weird.
Yeah, that's the only problem.
Yeah, that's the linchpin in all of this. I think it could succeed, ironically, by way of being boring, if that makes sense. Because Chuck and Rosie are two very unobjectionable characters. There's, Chuck has his, like, survivor's guilt thing, but Rosie has barely any personality at all. And because of that, because Penders does not have to write romance between two hormonal teens, it may not be that bad.
Yeah,
it would probably be fine.
It'd probably be fine if unoffensive.
And again, if you play this as like a straight comedy, like you have the image of them like, leaning in for a little smooch or whatever, and then in the background you have Sonic trying to keep the robots away, or like them punching him in the face or something, that would actually be a funny visual.
Yeah, no, I think this is an idea that can definitely work. I think it's just the man it's being written by. Even if it's not hormonal teenagers, I can't imagine he's going to write good relationships.
No, but if he writes a boring one, again, that's why it can be.
I can take a boring one.
The Sonic side of it.
And then at that point I could take a boring one because at least it's not offensive to my sensibilities.
Yeah. Speaking of which, no. For Sonic number 163, we have Girls' Night Out.
Oh boy, more girls.
Some teasing from Ash results in Mina and Amy Rose making their way into Robotnik's stronghold to prove they're just as capable on their own as any freedom fighter, in parentheses, re-Sonic. When Sally hears what they're up to, she and Sonic head out after them, only to discover Rouge and Nick the Weasel are on the scene, each looking to abscond with the rare gem that will power Robotnik's latest weapon. This is not the thing that I thought it was. It's not, like, okay, you were saying not offensive, and then I said, oh, look at this one, but this is not the one that I thought was offensive. But it still annoys me. Mina's not a freedom fighter!
And Amy is already a freedom fighter.
Funny.
The artificial conflict on display here is palpable.
It really is.
Like, because I don't know what to say about this. I think it's funny, because this is something that I only realized after rereading Bobby's blog. I do think it's funny that we've decided to unite the young up-and-comer obsessed with romancing Sonic with the other young up-and-comer obsessed with romancing Sonic.
Oh yeah, that's certainly interesting.
Other than the fastness and the singing, Amy and Mina are kind of similar characters, which I didn't realize.
Yeah, that's interesting. Why do we need Mina to even exist at that point? Why not just use Amy for the role?
Yeah, why does Mina still exist in this series? That's a good question.
Okay, that's not really what I meant, but fair enough.
I don't know. Now, importantly, there is no ship teasing, at least in this description.
No, there isn't, but I wouldn't be surprised if some gets shoved in.
Yeah, and it's when they put Rouge and Nicolette there, too, which are also two kind of similar characters. Nicolette is more likely to shoot you than Rouge, but, Yeah, I don't know. I bet if the story was made, but...
Maybe, like, Nick is gonna shoot Mina again. And then,
maybe this time it'll be
brother
permanent.
has shot at it and he missed. She's like, oh, that fuck ass. I gotta do what he can't.
Ass.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But then Amy jumps in front of the shot.
Oh my god!
It's
and
Jesus
then
Christ.
when she's dying, she realizes that maybe going after Sonic is
maybe
not
going
the
after
best
Sonic
of
causes
ideas.
people to get shot.
Because you get Exactly.
We just keep making romantic interests for Sonic and keep having each one progressively take another bullet for the last.
You know what? Let's do
It's
it.
the new cycle.
So
Maybe
that
it'll
means
stop
that
writers.
that means that Fiona has to take a bullet for Amy next, right?
You got it. You figured out the
Yeah,
pattern.
yeah.
And then for Fiona, oh, Sonic doesn't have any romantic interests after Fiona. Um,
Oh, okay, that's good.
but yeah, that's funnier than whatever this was meant to be. This seems like that really old issue about Sally and Bunny with like the sexist dolls or whatever it was. It seems like a big like, oh, we gotta do girl power.
Oh yeah.
It does sort of seem like that, yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. Maybe not the worst it could possibly be, but not. I'm not super interested. For Sonic number 164, we have this Robian, this hedgehog. When Sonic overhears how much his father resents his condition, unable to enjoy a normal life with his wife, Sonic risks all to find a cure. With the aid of Uncle Chuck, Sonic makes his way into the Robotnik's nanotech labs. Is that what it says on the wiki? Or on
Yeah.
his forum?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a typo. It happens.
Yeah, it is.
And retrieves what he hopes is the answer to the problem. Unfortunately, Jules is still a Robian at the end, but thanks to nanotechnology, he now looks more like his old self.
That's an interesting
I'm
idea.
I'm sure that on the cover it would show Jules in his old form, and it'd be like, Jules back to normal? Exclamation point, question mark.
Oh,
And then this is how
Yeah,
they
yeah.
be
the
like, no, it wasn't
opportunity
called
for
that.
misleading covers, yeah.
Exactly.
You're gonna clickbait us more.
That's funny. I feel like this feels like kind of a dead end, because with that, I'm realizing that like you're totally right. This would be something that they market on the cover, but then the story is completely pointless.
Yeah.
Because look at how this starts. It says Sonic overhears how much his father resents his condition, unable to enjoy a normal life with his wife. But our ending is that he looks more like his old self. Looking like his old self is not what the conflict is.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, it's like you should, if you want anything, don't change how he looks, or change how he looks if you want, but have him able to feel more.
Sure.
And yeah, I don't know. I think Jules, I like Jules as a character, but I think what he needs is less about not liking being a robot, less about not liking being a robot, and more about how how he relates to his family more than anything. Because like we've never got a Jules and Bernie like who they are as people story, other than maybe Tales of the Great War, but still not very much.
Yeah, I would appreciate that, because now tell me if I'm wrong, but as far as I've seen in these comics, Jules isn't particularly bothered. It's everyone around Jules.
Yeah, Jules
feels
to
like
mostly
he
put
should
up
be
with
bothered,
it.
but he's not actually.
Yeah, but Jules seems to mostly put up with it.
Yeah, in fact, it says Sonic Result. That should be what it is that Sonic and Bernie feel awful for Jules, and even though he doesn't tell them to, they go into Robotropolis and get in danger without his permission.
Right.
Maybe Chuck and Jules have to be, brother team and help them.
Oh, heck yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's like, maybe it's the thought that counts, but I don't think Penders is thinking the right way for this.
No, probably not.
Yeah. For Sonic number 165, we have Last Man Standing. Antoine pops the, in all caps, question to Bunny. Unfortunately, she's not able to respond before the gang has to go off on a mission to shut down Robotnik's power plant before a meltdown in the core. While Sonic does all he can to ensure a safe ending for all, circumstances dictate a sacrifice on someone's part, and Snively ends up proving he had more moxie than anyone ever gave him credit for.
Holy shit. Fucking Snively sacrificing himself.
So,
full well this would have been 2 issues.
Okay.
And it would have ended off with either the first one would have ended off with either Antoine or Bunny being set up as the sacrifice.
Possibly. Let's
Maybe.
okay. We need to segment this into two parts. Let's talk about Antoine and Bunny first.
So, do we have to talk about this one issue at a time? I guess we should to sort of replicate the experience. So, I'll not talk about the later issues. Um, I cannot believe it. He just got Antoine and Bunny back together,
He's
and then he
gonna
has
hitch
to
them
create
up.
drama with them.
Well,
Yes.
so to me, this doesn't feel like drama at the moment. It just feels like Bunny didn't get the chance to answer.
Well, and
Well,
but
but
that's
you
the
know
thing.
that
I know
Antoine would be like,
full
"Oh
well.
no," and be like
Oh
worrying all
yeah.
about it the whole
Oh yeah,
time.
he's gonna be so worried. No,
Yeah.
I know. I
They
know.
drag it out, and in the modern comics, we do have Antoine and Bunny get married, which you guys already know,
Right.
thankfully.
Yeah.
And the thing is that they don't play it anything like this. Instead, Antoine proposing to Bunny is the start of an issue, and then that's what the story is about.
I mean, I think that does make more sense from a writing standpoint. Honestly,
and
do
having
a
her
story around that.
having her not answer because we need to go on a mission. You could just say yes, because of course she's gonna say yes, even under Penders.
Oh yeah,
But then dragging that out for 2 issues, ugh.
not even 2 issues. It says later on he would have dragged it out for 10 issues.
10 issues?
Yeah, he pops the question in 165, and she doesn't answer until 175.
Oh God.
That's disgusting. That's too much. Like, holy fuck.
Yeah, that's absurd.
Yeah, so I think everybody understands what our position is on that just by reading
Yeah.
it, frankly.
I like the idea of that happening, but not the execution he was going for.
As
I
in
mean,
the idea of Antoine and Bunny getting married.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the only thing I
That's
can
the
give
only
him
part
credit
that, like,
for
I
here.
want.
Yeah.
Which,
Well-
I guess, okay, then I guess we're jumping ahead, and I'll just say I'm shocked that he was actually planning to have them get married. I thought when I read that bit, I'm like, oh no,
I'll give Penders
but yeah,
credit.
apparently
at least,
he would actually go through with it eventually.
I'll give Penders credit at least. Literally, one of the first things that he did when Antoine got back to Mobius with Sonic was to bring him and not Sally, God no, him and Bunny back, at least back together. That but the Bunny knows that he's okay.
It is funny though that like he has this happen. Like, okay, if you were to make drama out of this, which I don't think you should, but I do think that the best thing you could do is go at it from Bunny's perspective, right? Because your boyfriend supposedly broke up with you, and then 6 months of anguish later, you discover that he didn't actually do that, and it was
he
someone
wasn't
else.
actually. Yeah.
And if then it's like he proposes to you after all that time, her being hesitant would maybe make sense. But I feel like they would just have her be like flustered and not know what to say, and like Penders would not have any mind paid to how that character would progress from that.
It would be completely artificial for like the next 10 issues. There would be multiple opportunities where she might be able to say something, and then some stupid thing would get in the way.
Right.
Yeah, and I bet through all of that they would have Antoine going, "Oh, why is she not responding? Does she not love me? Whatever." And nobody would be able to tell him, "Yeah, she went through all this crazy shit with the guy who's pretending to be you." Like, just nobody would even think to respond.
No one would fill him in at all on what happened.
Yeah.
Right.
And all of that is undercut by the absolute craziness. Snively making a heroic sacrifice? What?
That's
Okay, so there's a lot to break down here.
Yeah, no kidding.
First and foremost, you can't get rid of Snively. No, don't
kill
do
off
it.
Snively.
No, Snively is one of my favorite parts of Sad AM that I am so glad is in these comics. You cannot take that out. That's just a key part of the experience. Yeah, especially when he was gone for a while too.
Yeah.
So Like, Penders didn't like Eggman, kill Eggman. Or Robotnik at the time, I guess. Penders doesn't like Snively, too, I guess? Is
I
that
guess
what
so.
he's doing here? Trying to kill off
Or
Snively?
or maybe he just wanted something shocking.
I mean,
What a jerk. You can't just rock the comics to your boat.
yeah, so it's like,
Mhm.
one, don't kill off Snively. We need, Snively is funny, and specifically his dynamic with Eggman is great. You need to keep him
Yeah.
around Eggman, even if he's not on Eggman's side. You need
No,
to
if
have the
anything,
two of them interact, because
if
they're...
anything, making him someone antagonistic towards Eggman is maybe even more interesting.
Yeah, but they, those two and their dynamic, whether antagonistic or conciliatory, is part of the lifeblood of Sad AM and the
Yeah,
foundation for these comics, so don't kill off Snively. Two, why the fuck would Snively ever make a heroic sacrifice for Sonic and pals?
he wouldn't.
Yeah, this is bizarre.
This is completely misunderstanding Snively's character.
Well, and it's weird because it's how Penders is writing him. Because I think even under Penders, Snively being a nuthole, he's here for Snively. He's here for his own benefit, not for theirs.
He's not here as a hero. He's here as the heroes have things that he needs, so he's going to work with them.
Yeah, Snively. Yeah, I think Penders looked at Snively allying himself with the Freedom Fighters before, and then like sort of going off peacefully, and I thought, oh, maybe Snively actually isn't a bad dude, but no, that's not true. It was just in his best interests and
Right.
his hatred for his uncle. That just happened to make things line up that way.
Right.
He was like, you know what? Now is not the time for fighting Sonic, because as much as he doesn't like Sonic and company,
He can use Sonic to fight his uncle.
Yes, that's his number one goal.
And Sonic is less likely to kill him.
Right.
That's also true. So yeah, and maybe there would be little plot threads in the other issues. These aren't exhaustive summaries.
Right.
But you can't just get to Snively sacrifice himself like that without some sort of build-up.
Yeah.
And I highly doubt that it would be satisfying.
No, it would not be a satisfying amount of build-up.
Yeah. And that leads right into the projection for Sonic number 166 called Fallout, wherein Sonic is racked with grief, feeling responsible for the death of Snively, and that drives everyone that much harder when preparing for their next mission. As their assignment unfolds, everyone becomes uneasy as the possibility dawns that Sonic could cross a line he never did before, ? For the Freedom Fighters, this moral quandary becomes even more difficult when it's discovered the enemy's latest plan could result in the extinction of every life form on Mobius. I'm sorry, Sonic is racked with guilt over Snively?
Sonic's going to kill someone? That's what it sounds like. Also, yeah, Sonic's racked with guilt over the death of Snively?
Sonic doesn't care about Snively.
I mean, he might be like, I don't know if grief or guilt is the right word. He might be more like confused, if anything.
I mean, I could see, maybe I couldn't see that actually.
Yeah,
I could see it being written this way, even though it doesn't make much sense.
I could totally see it being written.
Someone has sacrificed himself, and Sonic's like, maybe it should be me, and then Silly's like, nope, and then he kills himself.
Nope, motherfucker,
and then
it's me.
Sonic is like, oh no.
Sonic's like, no, it should have been me.
I mean, it's just, of the times that we've killed off characters before, Sonic being sad about it happens sometimes, but it's never so intense that it would affect his performance, and it especially wouldn't be for someone who has mostly just antagonized him as a lot. Like, it sounds like he's more upset over this than he is over Nate.
Oof.
Oh my gosh, justice for Nate, for gosh sake.
And yeah, I don't know what this crossing a line he never did before thing is. It sounds like he might kill someone, or like...
Was Penders planning to kill Eggman?
Abuse his friend? No, they don't. They want to kill Eggman
again.
It's just... it's too vague, but it's just weird, right?
It is weird.
Because I mean, what crossing a line? What is that? Because it's not. It can't just be killing someone. Because he has killed people. Um,
It's true.
Maybe it's that in order to save everybody, he has to kill someone he doesn't want to kill. I don't know. They call it a moral quandary, so it's going to be a trolley problem of some sort. Um,
I don't know.
It also says the enemy's latest plan could result in the extinction of every life form on Mobius. So is that Robotnik? Is it maybe Ivan Kentober?
I expected the latter. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. My immediate thought went to just like another Ultimate Annihilator.
Yeah, maybe.
Oh yeah, they would rob Robotnik of another thing and
And-
say that it was actually Ivan that invented the Ultimate Annihilator.
Oh my God.
And Robotnik stole the
Penders would
design.
totally do that. He would add another Ultimate Annihilator, and then in the next Mobius 25 years later issue, they would say, "Oh yeah, also that other time there was another Ultimate Annihilator. That was also Sonic's fault."
Oh my God.
But yeah, it was in a moment when Sonic's morals were slipping again.
Yeah.
Like usual. Jesus.
Weird idea for an issue. Not understanding that at all. And whatever it is can't have been like that amazingly crazy, because Sonic number 167 from Penders would have been something completely different. It was going to be called New World Order, and Sonic is finally informed of the duties of his new rank, Gentleman at Arms. His first task, accompany Princess Sally to Station Square as she sets up Nuthole's first embassy in a foreign land. Naturally, there's some trouble before the group departs, including Sally's displeasure when Sonic's new rank means he can overrule her when it comes to security, as Antoine's duties as head of the Royal Guard conflict with his proposal to Bunny?
Why?
Yeah, like, is it... It says his proposal to Bunny, so not the wedding itself, question mark? Because that's supposed to be in 175 as a fucking milestone issue, I guess?
Well, the wedding's supposed to be in 200.
Yeah. Yeah, 175 is
The yes.
the acceptance.
Ugh.
To be fair, I
Um,
do think a wedding as a milestone issue is a good idea.
Well, yeah,
It's-
but why not do it in the milestone issue where they accept as well?
Yeah, that makes
Like,
more
you don't
sense.
have to wait 25
No,
issues.
I don't want to wait 25 issues. I want to see that shit as soon as possible.
Really stupid.
I mean, I'm biased to a fault toward the 175 that we actually got, so...
All right, then.
But yeah, no, it's just weird.
Yeah. 167 looks like the theme is people get torn apart by duties for no good reason. Like, why would Sally care about Sonic overruling her with the rank? Like, Sonic wouldn't abuse that.
No, he wouldn't.
Wouldn't care.
Sonic,
And
yeah, Sonic on a good day fights to destroy power, not wield it.
Mm-hmm.
yeah, and I don't understand Antoine being a royal guard, how that gets in the way
No,
of
it
anything
shouldn't.
with Bunny.
Already proposed to her, so what is it? Is it just that like he has to work so much that he can't even talk to her to ask what her answer is?
Probably.
Also, clearly, if this proposal is that important to you, just disobey. You know, just say like, just have him threaten to quit if he can't like do whatever with Bunny.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, thank you. But it does. This is part of a larger arc, because in the next one, Sonic number 168, we have our hedgehog in Station Square. Now that Princess Sally, Sonic, Tails, and Rotor have arrived in Station Square, so they didn't even get there last issue, for the duration, Sonic finds getting around town is more awkward than he likes, thanks to evil Sonic making the scene.
Oh
But
boy.
if Sonic can't provoke his bad doppelganger into a fight one way, perhaps scoring with Rouge might do the trick. Now,
Whoa,
if
boy.
only Sally doesn't get into the act. Jesus, good fucking God.
Holy fucking shit.
I was right! I was
You
right!
are right. No, you were
Sonic
totally right.
trying to seduce Rouge as a way of tormenting evil Sonic. Apparently, evil Sonic in 150 wasn't even that bad, because apparently Sonic can do the same thing.
I have no words.
I don't know what to fucking say. Just
We've said
other
enough
than
already.
what?
These women are, they're just a prop for the villains and the heroes, even up to their sexuality. It's no thanks. No fucking thanks, Ken. Thank you for not being on this comic anymore. Hashtag thank you, Ken Penders. Let's push forward. Sonic number 169 and 170. A dish best served cold. Knuckles and the Chaotix show up at Station Square, mean and spoiling for a fight with the group that attempted to invade Angel Island? Question mark. Unfortunately, with the new alliance pact in place between Knothole and Station Square, that puts Sonic on a collision course with the embattled Echidna. Oh, a Sonic versus Knuckles fight.
Yeah. Oh boy, I hope we were excited for Sonic and Knuckles to fight for no reason again.
Penders has never given us one of these.
It's never happened. Can you explain
the group that attempted to invade Angel Island?
Yeah, what's that mean?
I can only, because, like, it can't mean the dingoes, even though that's what it should theoretically mean.
Well, it sounds like they're referring to, like, Gun or something?
But Gun never went to Angel Island.
I know, that's why I'm confused.
My only possible thought is that they're taking vengeance on the group that attempted to invade Angel Island by going to Station Square, and who that has ever even been to Station Square is here. The only thought I can think of is Rouge and Evil Sonic. And it says, with the new alliance pact in place between Knothole and Station Square, that puts Sonic on a collision course with Knuckles. So my thought of what this means is that Knuckles and all his friends go to Station Square because they want to beat up Rouge for trying to steal the Master Emerald once. And because she works for Gun, Station Square is like, we need protection. I guess?
Yeah. I guess Penders could be like, oh, actually, you know that other story where Rouge tried to steal the emerald? That wasn't, like, Rouge on their own. That was a mission.
Yeah.
Or at least Knuckles thinks that. Either way, I guess that kind of works.
Well, I don't know if she would have been ordered by Gun, but I think that, because she works for them, it's like they'll protect her on their behalf, even if they didn't intend for her to do that. But
I guess
it's just, like, if that is the story, and I don't know if it is, it's just, who the fuck knows? And, because, I mean, like, it's not like Station Square is going to protect Evil Sonic. Just let Knuckles beat him up. It was his idea. Actually, it was his idea, wasn't it?
Well, still, Knuckles should beat up Evil Sonic anyway.
Yeah, just foist the blame on a scapegoat, you know?
I mean, he deserves it.
Yeah. So
imagine that. Actually, this would be really funny. So Evil Sonic is like going around being a scoundrel, and at one part he's like acting like he's Sonic. Then Knuckles comes over. He's like, Sonic, how dare you ally yourselves with Station Square? And then Evil Sonic's like, wait a minute, no, I don't want to fight, man. You see, I'm not actually Sonic. Knuckles is like, yeah, like I'm gonna buy that. He just punches him, and then it becomes a super one-sided fight. That'd be hilarious.
Yeah. So it sounds to me, Bruce, like you read further into this thread on the Penders forums where he talked about these than I did, because I stopped there at 170.
Yeah, so in his original post on his forums, he goes into some detail beyond 170, talking about, after that, he says, the idea was to tease whether or not Bunny would accept, based on the premise that she wasn't sure her and Antoine could lead a normal life due to her bionic parts. Eventually, in 175, it would result with her saying yes, leading to their engagement, and then leading to a spectacular wedding in number 200. And then he goes on, it sounds like also you were right that Pender's plan was for Sonic to go and date all of the girls in Knothole,
Yeah, well, we
and then
saw that with
end
the
up
thing with
back in
Rouge
Sally.
and Amy.
Well, yeah, but like that is actually he outright says after that was basically his plan.
Yeah.
So that's gross.
Hmm.
Well,
Anything
and
else interesting here?
I'm thinking like lead a normal life due to her bionic parts. Does that mean anything other than like sex?
Sex?
Yeah.
No, I don't think so. It sure
Okay.
sounds like it means sex. Again,
Ugh.
kind of gross.
Well,
Anything
I
else
mean,
interesting
like,
here?
okay, let's be clear. I think that if we're saying that that would make Bunny feel insecure, I don't necessarily think that that would
No,
be.
I understand that part. That makes sense.
The problem is just like, it's another one of those. I don't really want that in a Sonic comic, and it's like, how? Come on, is that actually meant to create tension between her and Antoine? I hope not. I hope Antoine doesn't give a shit. Um,
I yeah.
and I think he probably doesn't, but I can't be certain.
Well, see, we know that Antoine, in his purest form, as a majority of writers have indicated, wouldn't. But Pender's
Right.
writing Antoine,
Penders Antoine.
it's a different story.
Yeah. What else? Oh yeah. He also talks about when he came back as the main writer in 145, he made it clear that he was aiming to correct the fiasco Karl foisted upon the fandom with the infamous slap. And it's interesting that he and Mike believed that was the worst moment in the comics history.
Well, he says that. I don't know if Pellerito necessarily agrees.
Yeah, I think that Penders thinks that is interesting because we have pointed out plenty of times that he has written things that are much worse
Yeah, I
before
mean
and
the slap's not good, but
no, it's not
um,
good, but it's nowhere near as offensive as fans would have thought it was,
given that this
15 years
was
ago.
this was in 2010, so he'd only been gone from the comic for a few years at this point, and I think the
Hmm.
fandom was still probably more fiery about that. I think he was just kind of
Sure.
what's the
Probably
word?
just stoking the flame.
Preaching to the choir, so to speak, and trying to cover
Yeah.
his ass. Um, and I mean, that issue was the product of several people. I still speculate that some of that could have come
Oh
from
wait. Oh, here we
Gabri.
go.
Um,
Here we go. And this is what I was talking about, mentioning that Penders outright says that his plan was for Sonic to go and date all the other girls in Knothole. He says, let's see, so Slab was perceived as the worst moment in the book's history. However, neither of us saw that getting corrected over the course of an issue or two or three. Fair enough.
we talked about this in the 150 video. It's where the playing the field comment comes
Yeah.
from.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. I can remember if we'd actually brought that up or not.
Yeah.
Which is
Also,
yeah, very gross.
also, Penner's site admin Robert Rep has had his head up Ken's ass the entire thread. He is such a white knight for the man.
I didn't actually read through the entire thread because I didn't think it was going to be that interesting.
No, I remember seeing this dude back when these forums were still up, and he sucks.
Mm-hmm.
Or it sucked. I think he died, but
Damn.
he was old. He was like kind of a notable figure in furry fandom, I think.
Oh,
But
interesting.
people did not like him.
Oh, okay. So notable, but not in a good way.
Yeah, there's
Is there
there's some
anything
nasty
else
stories about
interesting
him
here?
online. That has nothing to do with this. It's just like I
I'm
keep
just,
seeing him as I'm scrolling through
yeah.
this thread, and it's like, oh
I'm
right,
just,
that
I'm
fucking
just,
guy.
I'm just looking at his initial post, seeing if there's anything else interesting here that I didn't take notes on.
I think
Um,
I think we've
oh
got it.
yeah, I think. Oh yeah, he does also state that his reasoning for killing Snively would have been to get it was so they wanted to set Snively up for the audience to embrace him as they never did before. Okay, and kill him off to rattle everyone. So basically to shake the boat.
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
it's
Can't say I
like
approve.
Lauren said, it's just for
Um,
shock value.
yeah, and Penders later on also implies stuff that we basically already knew that there was a lot of behind the scenes issues with these comics
Yeah,
from
Oh,
I just
about
want
when
to I
God.
he
just want to mention
yeah.
there is a post below here from Maverick Indigo that ends with the SEGA mandates would probably have ruined these plans. So, just in case anybody thinks that the mandates were in place because of Penders, this is from before all the legal shit. This is from everything. Like, they've always been here to some extent.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's just a matter of, for a long time, Sega just didn't seem to care what was going on with these comics.
Yeah.
But once they started taking more control, that's when stuff started happening.
Yeah.
That is an important thing to remember, though. Even if Penders had stayed on, these ideas would not have materialized in the way they are written here.
Sega was at this point. Sega was already clearly taking more and more control over these comics,
And for most of them, thank God.
Yeah, even if Penders had stayed on, I doubt these stories would have ended up anywhere like what we're reading here.
Yeah. So yeah. So those are the plans that the previous writers had for Archie Sonic. I find not a lot of potential in Penders' ideas, but I do
There's a
wish
couple things.
maybe not that Bollers had remained as lead writer, but I kind of
Maybe
wish that he
Bollers
had
could have
maybe
stayed on.
gotten to work with Flynn, perhaps.
That's what I was thinking. Actually, I would have liked to see Ballers and Flynn working on a lot of his ideas.
Yeah, because clearly this is part of it. It's not just working with Flynn, but Bollers and Pallarito, they created Return to Angel Island, which is a fucking stellar arc, and
Yeah,
they
that's a
probably
great arc.
could have
Mhm.
workshopped a lot of these ideas to maybe remove some of the things that we didn't like about them.
Sure.
And I think the name of the game for so much of Archie Sonic, especially under Penders and such, is that a good editor can salvage so much.
Yeah,
True.
and I think that was
bad
that was
editor.
yeah. That's
Yeah.
been our problem is that we've
Well,
had off and
We've
on
had Justin
editors.
Gabri.
Yeah, we had Justin Gabri, and Gabri was I don't want to outright say bad, but wasn't great.
I'll say he's bad. He sucked. He created those stupid, weird contradiction stories with all the Rodians, and he's
you know what?
probably
That's
Romy
true.
Chalkon. So
That's true. You know what? I'll stand by you.
yeah, but that is it. Interesting stuff, and that is where our Archie coverage is done for now. We are not quite done with Archie. This is a bonus video, and we're gonna do another bonus video in a while where we rank and compare the various milestone issues and specials. But that is not going to be for right now. For right now, we are done for tonight. I hope you guys enjoyed this exploration into some stuff that maybe you didn't know, even as a fan of the series. I'm glad that you guys, our viewers, and you guys, my co-hosts, were here to experience this with me. And yeah, we're going to be done for tonight. So thank you all so much for watching. If you have any questions, comments, criticism, or feedback, you can reach us at any of the links in the link tree in the description. And if you enjoy this video, please like, comment, share, subscribe, etc. Put a bag of chocolates in my mailbox. I can't improv these endings to sound either wholesome or scary, because that just sounds like somebody's gonna put a bag of flaming dog poop on my friggin' porch.
That can be arranged.
Don't do that. Put it on Justin Gabri's porch.
Don't do that either.
No,
Yeah,
don't
no,
do that. Actually, for legal reasons, that is a joke. Nobody do that because I said so. It was a joke. If you do that,
Yeah.
I'm not legally responsible.
Yeah, remember, it's everything we say is a joke.
Yeah, unless it doesn't cause any consequences to us, in which case it's serious. Thank you all so much for watching. Don't do crimes because you heard them from me. We'll see you next week with that other bonus episode. I hope you all have a great night, and take care.